Part 124. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1231. Moo broke the rules of the game, but it was to save a dying girl. Liza couldn't hold on to this. In addition, the old man who rejuvenated his youth is different. This kind of thing is also morally untenable. This effect can be retracted by the producer. However, Moo took away both of them immediately, probably using some kind of spatial telekinesis ability. It's obvious that the wood took this thing off its shoulders. Liza couldn't help but feel embarrassed. First of all, Moo is the son of Jinfuli's and Xiaja's good friend. And it is very powerful, which is very helpful to Xiaja. This is a favor. Secondly, he is the beloved disciple of Nitro, the president of the Hunter Association, and the backer behind him is really great. Not easy to mess with. Finally, this guy himself is too strong. You must know that the game production team is also on guard against people with spatial telekinesis abilities. Although this type of telepathic person is not common, there are actually quite a few. There are always some lucky people who want to use their abilities to take advantage of the Greed Island. But without exception, they were all limited by the means of the production team. Obviously, the producer cannot limit Moo's telekinesis ability. This means that this person's power has exceeded the expectations of the production team. Can Liza not be in trouble? What puzzled him the most was what exactly was Moo's telekinesis ability. Judging from the fluent spatial ability, it must be of the trait type. Looking at the flexible love, it seems that it should be of the change type. Liza couldn't have imagined it. The Moo played by Xiaoming is a telepathic person in the whole series. Completely beyond human limits. Fortunately, Xiaoming didn't want to fall out with the production team of Greed Island, so he kept his attitude low. He paid 50 billion to the Greed Island, and at the cost of being permanently banned from the Greed Island, he saved the Batra couple and had to leave the Greed Island. The two sides did not fall out, so this result is considered good. Of course, Bart must pull out this money. There was also a small misunderstanding in Guangmingding. The girl who had just been treated could not see that the young man in front of her was her lover. It took Batra a lot of time to explain before she believed it. Of course, Batra had long expected that this kind of thing would happen, and had prepared all kinds of evidence and excuses. The persuasion process went quite smoothly. After returning to the villa, Batra, who had achieved his wish, naturally wanted to cut off the wood again. Take 50 billion as compensation first. Then Moo's account suddenly exploded. Because Batra and his girlfriend had made an agreement to dispose of all their property and stay together for the rest of their lives. So Batra gave all his property to Wood for disposal. From a gaming perspective, Xiaoming independently solved all Batra's troubles, which is equivalent to completing a hidden mission. And Batra's huge property is the reward of the mission. With this money, you can make a lot of profits in the secret realm of Hunter. Xiaoming thought Batra and his wife were just talking. Even if you have to dispose of your property, just part of it will be fine. You should always leave enough for yourself to survive. I never expected that they actually meant it. Although not a penny was left behind, very little was left behind. A house, a field, some household items, plus some emergency money, that's all. Are they preparing to return to their countryside? The girl is young and has not been severely beaten by society. It is normal for her to still be an idealist. Why is Batra so naive too? How can two young couples live without money? Could it be that he was carried away by love? Xiaoming thought for a while. It was decided to integrate the profits of Batra's major companies to establish a charity fund. This fund will be managed by their little couple. They have no reason to refuse. Try to help some people in need. The two of them can still receive another salary, and basically live a comfortable life of being rich. Xiaoming is so generous not because he is so kind, but simply because this is just a game and not the real world. The money is really of no use to him. When the Chimera Ant War comes, Xiao Ming will probably spend all his wealth in exchange for the help of more telepathic people. Especially beating up the enemy and the Haka family. Before that, Xiao Ming continued to practice telekinesis in the secret realm, waiting for Gon and Killua to come out of the game. Things in the full-time Hunter's secret realm have come to an end. The time has also come to noon on October 8th. Yin Xiaoming plans to log into each character in the main game and take a look. Experiment with new sources of energy. The results of yesterday's experiment on the Explorer were very satisfactory, and Xiaoming was very happy. Just as he was planning to continue his efforts, he suddenly received a notice from Sister Hongqiao, asking him to rush to the hive for a meeting. The matter is very important, because there are some outsiders present, so Xiaoming is not allowed to use his space ability to teleport directly there. Helpless, Xiaoming had no choice but to drive the hero speed car. You can see the difference as soon as you enter the hive. The heroic speed car Xiaoming rides is very common. There is a special parking spot inside the hive, neatly lined up like motorcycles. A little further away is a platform for large aircraft to take off and land. It was almost mostly empty. There are actually a few aircraft in the northern base, but they are rarely idle. It would be nice to see one or two Quinjets being inspected and maintained there. Although the Quinjet is a stealth fighter, it doesn't need to turn on the stealth function when it is parked on its own helipad, which would waste energy. Today, Xiaoming saw 4 or 5 spaceships of various types parked there. There were also people guarding them. It was obvious that there were guests. And it was probably related to him. As expected, as soon as Xiaoming arrived, Hongqiao immediately pulled him into his office for a private chat. This is what happened. Yesterday, Xiaoming sent messages to Zhang Shizu's lineage, the Li family, the Shen family, and even the Tan family, saying that he wanted to try his luck in the world or secret realm with the Force. However, in less than a cup of tea, he used 2 sources of energy to strengthen the ascetic suit at the same time and introduced the Jedi Knight profession into the main game. It seems that these families don't need help anymore. In this case, Xiaoming is embarrassed to withdraw his words immediately. How embarrassing. Besides, if they can really find such an opportunity for him, Xiaoming would be more than happy. But he thought that it would be very difficult to get a ticket to such a powerful world, and it would take at least a few weeks, or even 2 or 3 months before there would be any news. No matter what, he never expected that this matter would be settled in just one day. Even Hongqiao didn't expect that it was the Zhao family of the Song King who got the news from somewhere and took the initiative to come to the door to offer warmth. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1232. About less than 2 months ago, on August 15, during the reincarnation mission, Xiaoming accidentally ran into the Song, Dog, King and Zhao, Horse, King families who were doing the mission together. At that time, Xiaoming quietly helped the 2 families at the last minute. Later, the 2 families knew about this and secretly planned to repay Xiaoming. It is impossible for the 12 Kings family to know that they have received favors without any reaction. Not only for face or pride, but sometimes they are also worried about the backlash of supernatural energy, or causing the Taoism of some masters in the family to be unstable. A while ago, Xiaoming met Zhao Rui in the main game of Magic Planet. Zhao Rui wanted to take the opportunity to repay her. As a result, she failed to repay her gratitude and owed more favors. For the Brunei founding series of tasks, Xiaoming not only funded her 2 million gold coins, but also gave her a large friendly fleet. It was the fleet of Old Shoelace under the Diver. Of course, this favor is much smaller than the help in the reincarnation world. But Zhao Rui remembered it very clearly and told her family a lot. At this time, Xiaoming sent messages to several friends, saying that he wanted to enter the reincarnation world with the Force. It's really like sending pillows when you are sleepy. The two dog and horse families with the surname Zhao are relatively familiar with the Force. They know that the Force comes from the world of the Star Wars series. The reincarnation world of the series is very vast, spanning the entire galaxy. It is no less than the world of the Marvel series. Such a world is a treasure, the energy level is very high, and there are countless things to discover in it. A ticket to form a team to enter such a world-XXX world invitation. It is an extremely valuable thing in the reincarnation space. The two families owed Xiaoming a lot of favors, and they could actually give Xiaoming the right to join this action once. This sincerity of repaying the favor is absolutely beyond words. And this action is not dominated by their two families. The real decision maker is the royal family of the new Qin kingdom, the Qin, Rat, King family, that is, the Ji family. The invitation letter was issued by others. Originally, the Rat King family did not want other families to participate in their actions. The Song and Zhao families were not very interested in the Force. But in order to repay Zhang Xiaoming's favor, they spent a lot of money to buy 6 places from the Ji family to enter with him. Xiaoming was among these 6 people. The reason why they bought 6 places instead of 1 was because they didn't want Xiaoming to be too abrupt. The two Zhao families were more thoughtful. However, as the reincarnations who entered with him, they all had to sign a space certification agreement with the Ji family. The Ji family allowed these 6 people to intervene in the first 2 main tasks, but they were not allowed to intervene in the main task 3. The 6 people must not harm the core interests of the Ji family. This practice is also common. The Song and Zhao families agreed to this condition. One purpose of calling Xiaoming here this time is to make it clear to him. Don't interfere with other people's tasks like before. Xiaoming has a criminal record in this regard. Another purpose is to let these 6 people sign an agreement with the Ji family and meet each other. When going on a mission, don't conflict in the reincarnation world. The other 5 places were given to their affiliated families by the Song and Zhao families, not to the people of the family. The core strength of the two families is not in the Force. Or, they already know all the information they should know, and they have no intention to develop in the Force. The world of the Force has too high requirements for bloodline or talent. It is notoriously easy to learn but difficult to master, so the two families have long seen through it and gave up this direction. But their affiliated families are still very interested in trying their hand in the Force. This meeting is a meeting of these 6 people. There are also representatives from the Ji family. Let's get familiar with each other first. Sister Hongqiao actually doesn't know why the Song and Zhao families take care of Xiaoming so much and are willing to give such a big favor. She just conveyed it truthfully. At the end, she asked, "Brother, when did you get involved with the 2 major 12 kings families? Are you good at it? Tell me, did you seduce the princess of a certain family?" Xiaoming met Zhao Rui in the game and knew the reason from her mind. But it's enough for him to know this by himself, and it's not easy to tell Hongqiao. So he talked about helping Zhao Rui in the game. "Oh, so it turned out that you hooked up with that girl Zhao Rui." Hongqiao took a breath. This girl is not easy to pick up. You have to work harder. If you can get her, you won't have to worry about anything in the future. Well, Sister Hongqiao thinks Xiaoming is a gigolo. There are 70% teasing and 30% encouragement in her words. She is just watching the fun and not minding the big deal. In fact, there is no sign of it. If Zhao Rui is a little interesting, she will join this mission. But she didn't participate at all. It means that it is completely unrealistic. Hongqiao is just teasing Xiaoming. There is nothing special about the subsequent meeting. These 6 people have no room for bargaining with the Ji family. In fact, all the exchange of interests and negotiation processes have been completed. After signing the agreement, everyone will go back to their own homes. The real reincarnation mission does not start now. It will start at 2400 hours tomorrow night, the time of the regular reincarnation mission this week. The 6 of them will be automatically pulled into the world selected by the G family. Because of this incident, Xiao Ming admired the ability of King Song and his family. Everything was done in just one day. The efficiency was too high. Xiao Ming even suspected that the two families had already discussed with the G family, and today they just temporarily exchanged a quota for others to themselves, just to do a favor. This is not completely impossible. However, in fact, if Xiao Ming had not had this need, the two families would not bother the Qin Wang family for the trivial matters of a few affiliated families. There are too many variables in the middle. Even if you want to give benefits to the affiliated families, you should do it under the supervision of the family. Now it has reduced its own prestige. The affiliated families just need opportunities, not necessarily to develop on the path of force. The Song and Zhao families can completely introduce them to the world they are good at, rather than the world that other families are familiar with. It also gave the Qin Wang family a certain opportunity. If the G family is willing to invest, maybe they can win over 1 or 2 talents. It's really hard to be a good person. The Song and Zhao families spent so much effort for a request that Xiao Ming had in his mind. In the end, not only did they not get gratitude, but they were also suspected by Xiao Ming of doing a favor. It's really like a dog biting Lu Dongbin and not knowing the kindness of a good person. Later, the truth of the matter came out. Xiao Ming met someone who knew the inside story and learned the whole story from the other person's mind. At that time, I felt a little hot on my face. It's so embarrassing to judge a gentleman by one's own mean heart. Fortunately, no one knows. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1233. League of Legends New Han Kingdom Northern Branch Hive Base Hong Chao's private room. Hong Chao pulled Zhang Xiaoming affectionately. Brother, come here, I'll introduce you to 2 people, these 2, you should know them, right? Of course, aren't they Kuang Tianyu and Ma Xiaoling? Xiaoming was indeed familiar with these 2 faces, but he knew they were fakes after a little feeling. They are not real plot characters. Like Sister Hong Chao, they are second-generation zombies. And their faces should have been plastic surgery to look like celebrities. They didn't look like this before. These 2 are clearly the other 2 trusted subordinates of Zhang Shizu, or reincarnations. I wonder if they are willing to cosplay? Or are they forced to make themselves look like this under the pressure of the boss Zhang Shizu? Hello, little brother, hello, I've been looking forward to seeing you for a long time. Hurry up and do the surgery for us 2. Kuang Tianyu and Ma Xiaoling rushed up, each grabbed one of Xiaoming's hands, and shook them affectionately. How could this be? Without asking for a reward, or even a few more words of greeting, they just ask someone to do the work? Too direct. It can be seen how much these 2 second-generation zombies yearn for being able to eat. Not asking for a reward means that after the work is done, Xiaoming can ask for any conditions. At this level, people are not worried that Zhang Xiaoming will ask for too much or make particularly excessive demands. In fact, they should have come to Xiaoming a long time ago. Hong Chao has been able to eat for a long time. It's just that Hong Chao didn't tell them at the first time. This feeling that only I have and others don't is really good. Hong Chao deliberately played a prank and concealed it for a while. It was only recently exposed. Originally, even if she concealed it from others, she couldn't hide it from Zhang Shizu. However, Zhang Shizu is already an S-level zombie. He can eat anything he wants with his strength. He doesn't need to do this kind of operation, and he doesn't need to report it at the first time. Hong Chao is happy to play a prank. However, evil people only have evil people to deal with. This matter was discovered by Zhang Shizu by chance. He also took the opportunity to play a prank. He quietly told the other second-generation zombies under his tutelage. As a result, Hongqiao was attacked by Kuang Tianyue, Ma Xiaoling, Beihu, and Heiyu. How miserable it was, I told you to eat alone. The 5A-level zombies are currently the strongest direct subordinates of Zhang Shizu. Please note that their identities are not space-certified followers, that is, they are not plot characters brought out by Zhang Shizu from the reincarnation space. Recruiting an A-level plot character as a follower, with Zhang Shizu's strength, although it is a bit difficult, can also be done. But supporting an A-level follower and being active in the real world all year round is a price that even Zhang Shizu cannot afford. Even if there are points, you can't spend them like this. Therefore, they are all second-generation zombies created by Zhang Shizu in reality with the power of blood. The sixth zombie being created was originally Lan Dali. As a result, Lan Dali, including the coffin and the zombie, was temporarily frozen and sealed by Xiaoming. I don't know if Zhang Shizu has made another one. Sister Hongqiao said that the process of making second-generation zombies is difficult and extremely expensive. It is estimated that it will not be done in a short time. This is true. Zhang Shizu is doing other things now and really has no time. Even if there is enough time, there are not enough resources. Let's talk about his subordinates. Although they are all anxious to undergo surgery, they can't have 4 zombies come at the same time. If something unexpected happens, they will be caught in one net. Several people can't wait and take turns to do the surgery, so they will do 2 first. After observing for a while, seeing that Kuang Tianyu and Ma Xiaoling are fine, it will be the turn of Beihu and Heiyu. The operation process is very simple. It is not difficult at all. Xiaoming just cut open their stomachs, plant mushrooms in the consumption path, and set up the barrier. If the mushrooms are not too special and come from the system, Xiaoming doesn't need to discover this kind of thing. The zombies can also want it themselves. However, it is useless to plant ordinary mushrooms in the stomach of zombies. Other similar methods cannot be realized in the face of the powerful power of zombies. Only those prop mushrooms will do. There is no need to worry about excessive blood loss or other symptoms when operating on zombies. They are already zombies. Basically, they are not afraid of anything. And there is no need for anesthesia. The 2 were awake throughout the whole process. During the operation, they also commented on each other's tricky intestines. They seemed to be at ease. After getting off the operating table, they immediately showed their true colors. The 2 rushed to the feast specially prepared by Hongqiao and ate it heartily. Xiaoming and Hongqiao also ate 2 bites casually. They were not very interested. Xiaoming's food strengthened with source energy tastes better. Recently, he can strengthen it by 5 times. He is no longer interested in these so-called feasts. Sister Hongqiao has been eating for dozens of days. The initial novelty has just passed. She can't get interested for a while. She is just accompanying. The atmosphere at the dinner table is very good. Before January 3rd of the meal is eaten, Kuang Tianyu and Ma Xiaoling are also brothers to Zhang Xiaoming, and they are very affectionate. Finally, after Kuang Tianyu and Ma Xiaoling finished eating, they started to talk about business. That is, the issue of remuneration. Although Kuang Tianyu did not have a good sitting posture, what he said was indeed very open. Brother, I don't know what you like, and I am too lazy to guess. Let's be straightforward. If you want something, just say it, and I will find a way for you. Ma Xiaoling was lying on the sofa, occupying the entire sofa, with her long white legs on the wall, and her shoes were thrown off. Xiaoming secretly praised Zhang Shizu for his sharp eyes. This fake Ma Xiaoling had a pair of long legs that were no less than the original. And her voice was very nice. Brother, if you can't think of anything to order, Sister will bring a bunch of things for you to choose. I guarantee you will be satisfied. Hong Chao didn't say anything, but winked at Xiaoming frantically. Xiaoming also understood, that meant that Xiaoming didn't need to give her face, just rip her off. When it was Hong Chao's turn to collect the brokerage fee, she wouldn't be polite either. Brothers and sisters, you all know something about telekinesis, right? I have a problem here. Telekinesis, your sister Xiaoling and I know a little bit. If you have any problems, tell me. Although Kuang Tianyu was modest, from his tone, it was definitely not as simple as just knowing a little. He should be quite proficient. In fact, Xiaoming had already noticed that these two people had strong telekinesis, so he brought up this topic. It's like this, my brother plans to practice the ability to eliminate thoughts. There is a big event recently that needs it. Eliminate thoughts. *3 The three zombies said in unison. Then their eyes focused on Ma Xiaoling. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1234. I may not know everything. If I'm wrong, don't take it to heart, brother. As far as I know, there are two mind removers in Hunter x Hunter. One black mind remover appears in the Greed Island plot. His name is Abanka. His method of removing thoughts is to summon a bug-like mind beast to swallow the designated thoughts. It's quite interesting. The other mind remover is a chimera ant named Hina. She swallows thoughts into her stomach and digests them. When removing thoughts, her stomach is big, like she's pregnant. It's very interesting. Kuang Tianyu told Xiaoming about the abilities of the two mind removers he knew. As a high-level reincarnationist, he has the opportunity to get this kind of information. The accuracy depends on the situation. Don't think he just moved his mouth. This information is actually very important information in any sense. It's enough to compensate Xiaoming for the value of this operation, and even more than that. Xiaoming is not very clear about the value of various things in the reincarnation space. After all, he is not a normal reincarnationist, but he can judge some clues based on common sense. His Xiaoming took a breath and said, it sounds like, it's all about eating. Are all mind removers foodies? At this time, Ma Xiaoling said, that's right. We have speculated that mind removal may be to absorb other people's thoughts into oneself, and then use one's home advantage and ability to eliminate them. Until the previous thought is eliminated, they cannot continue to eliminate other thoughts. Even the battle will be dragged down. Do you want me to demonstrate it to you? What? Demonstration. Sister Xiaoling, you can remove thoughts? Xiaoming asked in surprise. Yes, I learned it in the world of Hunter x Hunter. How about this, you make a smaller mind beast and I'll take a look at it for you. When Ma Xiaoling said the word learn, there was a strange fluctuation in her life energy. It is estimated that the method of learning may be very alternative. Considering her identity as a second-generation zombie, maybe she sucked the blood of a mind remover, or even ate him. The fact is that although Ma Xiaoling is a zombie, her mind is still human. It's embarrassing to say this directly, for fear that my brother will misunderstand that I am bloodthirsty and leave a bad impression. In fact, this is completely unnecessary and groundless. Xiaoming himself is not a good guy. Some of his abilities are eaten, so he really won't have any opinions. The reason why Ma Xiaoling deliberately concealed it can only be said that Xiaoming's baby face now is too deceptive. Xiaoming weighed in his mind which kind of mind beast to use. Make a uniform mind beast, but it's a bit too big, and it will be very difficult to remove the mind. Make a bomb, but I'm afraid that if my mind beast is special, Ma Xiaoling can't remove it, and then it will be troublesome to blow her up. So he made a piece of mind power chewing gum, the kind without explosive properties. Ma Xiaoling was happy when she saw it, rubbed Xiaoming's hair and said, brother, you are good, you can even get Hisoka's mind ability. As he said, his right hand covered the mind power, covering the chewing gum, and swish, the chewing gum disappeared. At the same time, Ma Xiaoling's belly bulged slightly, but it disappeared after a while. It seems that the mind removal was successful. If Xiao Ming had not been sensitive, he might not have noticed the changes in his belly. Fortunately, your mind beast is not big. If it were bigger, my belly would be like being pregnant. It would take a long time to remove it. Ma Xiaoling said words of relief, but she seemed a little regretful in her heart, and she didn't know why. For friends, Xiao Ming didn't want to use telepathy to explore, it was impolite. Besides, if you use telepathy on A-level masters, there is a high possibility that they will be discovered. That would hurt feelings. After that, Ma Xiaoling performed for Xiao Ming several more times and gave a lot of explanations so that Xiao Ming could observe more clearly and carefully. The service was too thoughtful. After a cup of tea, both parties were very satisfied. We know that Xiao Ming's specialty is not innovation, but imitation. When he was studying before, he was completely behind closed doors. It was difficult to practice the ability to remove thoughts by imagination alone. Now there is a model in front of him, and he is explaining it in all aspects. Xiao Ming estimated that he would soon be able to learn the ability to remove thoughts. And Ma Xiaoling was not at a disadvantage. Let's not say that this was the reward for the operation. Her ability to remove thoughts had a magical feature that she didn't tell Xiao Ming. Few people knew about it. That is, there is a certain chance that the thoughts that she removed can be used by herself. Of course, there are various restrictions. And the success rate is not high. This time, Xiao Ming repeatedly made telekinetic chewing gum, and Ma Xiaoling repeatedly removed thoughts, which undoubtedly greatly increased the success rate. Xiao Ming quietly felt that the shadow of telekinetic chewing gum appeared on her hand with her back to Xiao Ming. No wonder she demonstrated again and again, and she didn't get tired of it. It turned out that she could steal the skills. Although Hisoka is not the strongest character in the world of Hunter x Hunter, he is definitely a very difficult character to deal with. At least 50% of his success is due to his telekinetic ability Stretchable Love. Because he is strong and cunning enough, it is difficult for reincarnations to obtain this ability. Ma Xiaoling got it unexpectedly from Zhang Xiaoming today. She remained calm on the surface, but she was very happy in her heart. Xiaoming was not angry either. He felt quite good about the zombies of Zhang Shizu's lineage. Xiaoming was happy to see their strength improve. Besides, everyone is the same. Xiaoming has basically learned her ability to remove thoughts. In the next 2 days, Xiaoming focused on this matter. He didn't even play the main game. He concentrated on copying, researching, improving, and finalizing. Finally, before entering the reincarnation space, he developed his own ability to remove thoughts. The Prime Minister's stomach can hold a boat. This ability can be used by Xiao Ming himself and the 7 Stars Shadow clones. The application range is extremely wide. You can use your tail to swallow the specified thoughts. After swallowing, the belly of one of Xiao Ming's 7 Stars Shadow clones will swell, as if pregnant. Over time, the big belly will slowly disappear. The size of the belly depends on how strong the swallowed thoughts are. The maximum number of thoughts that can be removed also depends on how many 7 Stars Shadow clones Xiao Ming has on standby. As long as there are enough clones, no matter how strong the thoughts are, they can be removed. Bullying people by relying on the advantage of numbers is exactly Xiao Ming's characteristic. He set the ability like this, and he had to do it. After all, they were fighting against Chimera ants, the Ant King and his 3 guards, who were too buggy. It was hard to get rid of their thoughts. He had to be lenient with his enemies. Xiao Ming thought it would take at least a few months to study the ability to eliminate thoughts. He didn't expect that just being called to a meeting would bring him such an unexpected gain. Xiao Ming was so happy that he almost lost his mind. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1235. Brother, are you ready for the zombie cave in Japan? Just as Xiaoming was about to leave the hive, Hong Chao suddenly asked. Then she flipped her right hand, and took out 3 pieces of fire source fragments from some space equipment, and handed them to Xiaoming. The 3 families are probably a little anxious, and even sent the rewards to my sister first, so you should hurry up. Xiaoming did not forget this matter, but he did not take it too seriously. For things of this level, he did not need to do any preparation. The strength was overwhelming. Even this time, Xiaoming did not plan to go there in person. There was no need for his own force there, and sending a 7-star shadow clone was enough to deal with it. At the beginning, Xiaoming made an appointment with the Li family, the Dou family, and the Mushroom Hall to clear the zombie cave next time. No later than October 10th. Today is the 8th, so don't let them wait for a long time. Xiaoming directly left a 7-star shadow clone wearing a butler uniform inside the hive, and he was fully responsible for this matter. The 3 families can start whatever they want. The most convenient time is of course the end of the reincarnation mission on October 9th, and then the clearing of the zombie cave will be carried out. Yin Xiaoming must go home to tinker with his mind-eliminating ability, which is the more important thing for Xiaoming. The zombie cave is just a trivial matter. The main business there is to coordinate the zombie army led by the Dancing King Zombie and the cooperation between several forces. There is no need to go into battle and kill the enemy in person. Even if they need to take action, the force of the 7 Yao Shadow clones is strong enough. They are now wearing Hades clothes, and they also have the bonus of the power of the underworld, soul gems, which is very powerful. Xiaoming stretched out his hand to take the fire source in his hand, with a slightly solemn expression and posture. Ma Xiaoling noticed this and asked curiously, "Brother, do you need this thing?" "Yes, Sister Xiaoling. If you can get it, I can buy it." Xiaoming was very active. In Xiaoming's view, the power of the fire source is no less than that of the infinite gems. He has always had a fantasy. If he could build a space fleet composed of transformers, how fun it would be. Yes, Xiaoming only cares about whether it is fun or not. As for how much combat power it will increase, he is not very concerned. Ma Xiaoling smiled, "I can't tell, my brother is quite ambitious. Do you want to put together a large piece of fire source? Be careful, the transformers that are normally activated by the fire source are all bad." Sister Xiaoling is right, but I have a way to deal with this. Xiaoming was full of confidence. The problem he dealt with involved the secret of his own ability, which he could not say. He could only express his attitude. Ma Xiaoling and Kuang Tianyu looked at each other for a while, and probably decided to believe in Xiaoming's ability. Brother Kuang took out a piece of fire source fragment and traded it with Xiaoming for an operation quota. Transformers are not the direction of development of Zhang Shizu's lineage, and it is useless to keep them. If there are too many fragments of this kind, they will probably be exchanged with other forces. Now there is only one piece, and the exchange value is not great, so it is just right to trade with Xiaoming. The quota that Kuang Tianyu requested is not for Beihu and Heiyu. Those two are also big guys, so he doesn't need to do favors. This is the quota for his zombie followers. It will definitely greatly improve the loyalty of the followers. The next day, October 9th, Kuang Tianyu recruited the followers, and the operation was performed by the 7 Yaoying clones. Xiaoming didn't need to do it himself. As long as Xiaoming puts the mushroom props he needs into Guangmingding, the clone here can take them out and use them. Very convenient. Who is Kuang Tianyu's follower? I believe many people can guess that it is the zombie boy Kuang Fusion. This Kuang Fusion is not a cosplayer, he is a real plot character. He was brought out from the reincarnation world by Kuang Tianyu. As expected of a big guy, this operation is very smart. Kuang Fusion was transformed into a zombie in his youth, so his combat power is indeed a little worse. But his advantages are also very prominent. First, because Fusion's combat power is poor, the difficulty of the task of taking him as a follower will be lower. It is easier to complete. Second, his special ability as a zombie is very interesting. There is a little bit of a sense of following one's words. It is actually very powerful for auxiliary. Third, Fu Sheng is also a second-generation zombie, transformed by Zhang Chen himself. He has unlimited potential. As long as he is willing to spend resources to cultivate, he will definitely be a strong man in the future. Zhang Shizu's lineage has the technology to cultivate zombies, which is definitely beyond doubt. After Kuang Fusion finished the operation, his clone also advertised. Sister Xiaoling, Sister Hongqiao, Brother Kuang, if you have such an operation in the future, just come to me. I will not refuse anyone, and you can owe the surgery fee. I won't charge you interest. Hearing this, Hongqiao glared and grabbed the clone's ear. Stinky boy, you dare to ask for interest. Xiaoming hurriedly begged for mercy. Sister, spare me, my brother didn't ask, I said no interest. Kuang Fusion, who had just finished the operation and was full of oil, interrupted. Brother Xiaoming, no interest, what do you want? Not bad, the operation was not in vain. He knew to help me change the subject. Xiaoming grinned and replied, anything is fine. It doesn't have to be the fire seed fragments. Any fragments of the same type will do. I accept everything. The 3 A-level zombies nodded. If Xiaoming only wanted the fire seed fragments, it would be difficult for them to deal with it. Because the quantity is limited. If other things of the same type can be substituted, it will be much easier. Everyone has been in the reincarnation space for so long, and they will have accumulated some of these things. Oh, by the way, Xiaoming suddenly remembered something. I have a scroll of immortal reincarnation. Are you interested? What? Impure World Reincarnation Scroll? That S-level ninjutsu? Do you have it? The 3 brothers and sisters were shocked and asked Xiaoming several questions in a row. In fact, it was not a question, but full of disbelief. S-level items, even the A-level reincarnations of them have to unite to have a chance to get them. Zhang Xiaoming, a newcomer, can actually get it. It's so shocking. But think about his background, the cultivation sect and the ghost messenger of the underworld, there must be something extraordinary. Hongqiao asked, brother, Impure World Reincarnation is a very awesome ninjutsu. If you are willing to exchange, we sisters will definitely want it. But brother, you have to be cautious. If you can use this kind of powerful weapon yourself, don't give it to others. How could Xiaoming not understand this principle? The problem is that his identity as a civil servant in the underworld makes him very averse to the ninjutsu of Impure World Reincarnation. The reason is that this ninjutsu is very cruel. First, the opponent's soul is imprisoned, second, the opponent's body is often destroyed, and finally, living people are used as sacrifices. None of them conform to the laws of the underworld. If Xiaoming really uses this ninjutsu on a large scale, he will either become schizophrenic or be expelled from the ranks of civil servants in the underworld. It is really helpless to exchange it. I can only be thankful that I was careful and did not learn this scroll in the first place. What a close call. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1236. In the Star Wars world, in various places in the Milky Way, the reincarnations scattered in different places all cursed XXX. Because the reincarnation space gave them only one main task. It also had a blood red warning sign. Alive. The reincarnations selected to participate in this mission were not rookies. Some had seen this kind of main task before. Even if they hadn't seen it, they could understand the seriousness of the situation with their brains. This shows that the world of this mission is extremely cruel and difficult. This is very unreasonable. Damn it, I'm wrong. This operation was organized by the Qin, Rat, King Ji family. Among the 12 kings of the Qin dynasty, they can get the title of the first place. Even if the Ji family is not the most powerful family in Pangu Star, they can definitely rank in the top 3. The Ji family's action this time is mainly to cultivate talents and develop the resources of the Star Wars world. It is not to conduct a devil's trial. They can't deliberately increase the difficulty of this mission. It is even more impossible to increase it to this level of almost life and death. Whether it was the reincarnationists sent by the Ji family or those who took advantage of the group tour, they were all dumbfounded. However, what could they do now? They could only bite the bullet and go ahead. The result was really a life or death struggle. Within a few hours after the mission began, almost all the reincarnationists died. Most of them still didn't believe in evil and used the resurrection stone. Only then did they truly understand the difficulty of the mission. Almost none of these reincarnationists survived for 48 hours. After that, many people saw the situation clearly and decisively admitted defeat and stopped losses. Only a very few stubborn people continued to carry out the mission. The consequences, can be described as horrible. You should know that this mission was not difficult in the plan. The Ji family sent 2 S-level reincarnationists and 8 A-level reincarnationists to ensure the smooth progress of the mission. I never expected to encounter such a fatal situation. These 10 such powerful reincarnationists were all killed. Some of them chose to revive, but they died soon again. The reason is that they are so strong, and in this kind of mission, the reincarnation space also arranged powerful enough means. Without adequate preparation, they failed to survive the first round of attacks. The 2 S-class reincarnationists were very wise. They knew the methods of the reincarnation space very well and gave up the mission cleanly. They did not choose to be resurrected. Of course, they would never let this matter go. They must carefully investigate what went wrong. According to the props they used, this time should have entered the early stage of the world of Star Wars 1, The Phantom Menace. Somehow, they jumped to the world of Star Wars 3, Revenge of the Sith, and it was the most dangerous moment. When the Sith launched a large-scale purge of the Jedi Knights. The reincarnationists did not even have a choice of camp, and all reincarnationists were automatically assumed to be members of the Jedi Knight camp. Those who knew the Force were naturally assigned to the identity of Jedi Knights, and those who did not know the Force were all die-hard supporters of the Jedi Knights. Every reincarnationist was on the front line of the purge. The clone army was too lazy to even use the means of persuading surrender, and directly killed them without mercy. This time, the Ji family suffered a great loss. If we don't investigate and retaliate, the Ji family will lose face. So why did this happen? I believe everyone can guess that it is TNND Zhang Xiaoming's problem again. Of course, it is definitely not something he did on purpose. To be honest, he himself is also a victim, so to speak. All the reincarnations who entered the reincarnation world with him were just implicated. The fire in the city gate affected the fish in the pond. In addition, since Xiaoming's status in the reincarnation space is different from other reincarnations, the space did not use targeted means against him. As a result, Xiaoming himself was not actually affected too much, but other reincarnations were tricked into their grandmother's house. There are 10,000 MMPs and I don't know who to scold. But at this moment, Xiaoming has no idea what kind of disaster he has caused. And because the space will not assign him tasks, he doesn't even know that so many things have happened. He thought it was just a normal task. In fact, this kind of almost fatal task also has certain benefits for reincarnations. If the reincarnation can break through the space's lore, he can get a very long stay time. That is a time span that is almost impossible to achieve with a task card. For example, in this world, if you are not killed, you can stay for more than 5 years. This is an invisible reward. A high-level reincarnation, a few years, and no main quest to mess up. It is conceivable how much benefit he can gain from such a world. Regardless of other things, it is a rare opportunity to train under a Jedi Master for a few years. Unfortunately, this reward means nothing to Xiao Ming. Since he became a Diamond VIP, the time he stays in any world is decided by himself. If you want to leave, go; if you want to stay, stay. This time, Silver Xiaoming, Yellow Xiaoming, Red Xiaoming, and Orange Xiaoming all descended in the Jedi Temple in Coruscant, the capital of the Galactic Republic. Among them, Silver Xiaoming, Yellow Xiaoming, and Orange Xiaoming are all in human form. Red Xiaoming is in the form of the Protoss. The identities of the 4 people are all Jedi Knights. Among them, Orange Xiaoming is still a child in training. At the same time, Xiaoming's 4 followers, Feiying, Suike, Karama, and Xiajia, also appeared in the temple. In the Galactic Empire, there are races of all kinds. There are all kinds of ugly creatures. The Protoss and the Zerg will not attract attention. Usually, there are nearly 100 Jedi Knights guarding the Jedi Temple, and there are more than a dozen children in training. This level of force should be as stable as Mount Tai. But this time the enemy is too powerful. It is the Jedi Knight's mortal enemy, the Sith, the most powerful Lord Darth Sidious, that is, the Speaker Palpatine of the Galactic Republic. He used his position as the Speaker to infiltrate his power into the Republic, and mastered the strongest army of the Republic, the Clone Corps. Politically, Palpatine defined the Jedi Knights as a rebellious force and used the power of the army to launch a purge against the Jedi Knights. Faced with so many troops and being attacked unexpectedly, in the original book, only a very small number of Jedi Knights escaped this purge. The Jedi Temple is located in the capital, so it is naturally the most important target of attack. A large number of Clone Corps are advancing towards the temple. The situation was precarious. Of course, the only one who did not land in the temple, Green Xiaoming, was not in a better situation. As a native Jedi Knight of Felucia, he was guiding the Jedi Master Aayla Secura with his 2 followers, Red and Green. Green Xiaoming's image as a Bug King was very similar to the natives of this planet, so he was assigned here. And around them were hundreds of clone soldiers who had just accepted the order from Speaker Palpatine to kill them. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1237. Aayla Secura looks like a human woman, except that her skin is blue and she has no hair on her head, instead she has 2 blue tentacles. She has a good look and figure, and is quite feminine. It was a waste for her to become a Jedi Knight. Because Jedi Knights are not allowed to marry and have children. This is a taboo. Because once a Jedi Knight marries and has children, it will inevitably create a family that uses the Force. However, once you are bound by family ties, you lose your transcendent status and it is difficult to deal with various affairs of the galaxy objectively and impartially. Like many other Jedi Knights, Secura became a general during the Clone Wars and led the clone infantry in countless battles in this epic war. During the Clone Wars, she was stationed on the colorful planet of Felucia, and trudged through the dense trees of this commercial guild planet with her Star Army clone troopers. Just as General Secura approached the separatist enemy, Speaker Palpatine activated Order 66 on Coruscant. At the same time, Aayla's clone officer, Commander Bly, was contacted through holographic video. This executive order identified all Jedi Knights as traitors to the Republic. Bly faithfully carried out the order, raising his blaster rifle and aiming at his Jedi general. At this time, a local bird from Felucia took off and turned Aayla's attention to the sky. While Secura was distracted, Bly and his soldiers opened fire, and countless energy beams hit Sakura's body and killed her. Although she realized it, she didn't have time to use her lightsaber to fight back. The most hateful thing is that even though she had been killed, the group of soldiers still shot at her body for a full 5 minutes. Beat into a pile of minced meat. Of course, this is the plot in the original book. In this life, there is the Insect King Lu Xiaoming here, and the end game is transferred. The moment the clone soldiers received the order, their hostility towards Sakura and himself and others was as obvious to Xiaoming as the moon in the night sky. In an instant, Xiaoming issued a mental order to Xiaohong and Xiaolu's mind. They have been following Xiaoming for the longest time, and they have already understood each other very well. One ghost and one demon each faced half of the enemy and released their devil fruit abilities. The devil fruits they ate were 100% frozen fruits and magma fruits. Half of the clone soldiers turned into ice sculptures, and the other half were burned to charcoal. Master Sakura, who had just raised the lightsaber, was confused. She never expected that these two inconspicuous maids would have such powerful power. Even I might not be able to resist this move. What a joke. I am a Jedi Master, one of the 12 members of the Jedi Supreme Council. Now I am actually outclassed by an ordinary Jedi maid. How can I not be dumbfounded? As the saying goes, I drew my sword and looked around, feeling lost, and felt that I had lived for many years in vain. Fortunately, she did not misunderstand and regard the Insect King and Little Red and Little Green as enemies. Although it seems that they suddenly killed their soldiers, they look like enemies. However, the Force told her that the real enemy was the clone soldiers, who saved her life. If it was normal, even if the clone soldiers suddenly attacked, Sakura would react in time. It might not be possible to kill them all, but it should not be difficult to save her life. This is also applicable to other Jedi Knights who have become masters. The main reason why they were caught off guard was the Clone Wars led by Chancellor Palpatine, Sith Lord Darth Sidious. The rebel forces in various parts of the galaxy were actually manipulated and instigated by him behind the scenes, and the clone army sent by the Republic to suppress them also had the highest power in his hands. It was basically the left hand hitting the right hand. The city people really know how to play. Did they learn this routine of fighting left and right from the old naughty boy? In addition to making Palpatine the Chancellor and reaching the peak of power, this war also disrupted the fluctuations of the Force in the galaxy, so that the Jedi Knights could not sense the danger in the first time. In fact, it was not that they did not feel it at all, but because there were too many dangerous signals from all aspects in the war, and they emerged one after another, and the CPU of the Jedi Knights was not enough to handle them. Another minor reason was that they had fought side by side with the Clone Corps for a long time. They trusted their subordinates too much. They died because of comradeship. Speaking of which, one of the important projects in the training of Jedi Knights is to sever all emotional ties and maintain absolute calmness. It really makes sense. Unfortunately, almost all Jedi Knights, including the Master, could not achieve this goal perfectly. In the original book, even Master Obi-Wan could not bear to finish off Darth Vader, who had been defeated by him, because of the bond of friendship. As a result, this guy was saved, and then brought nearly 20 years of terrifying pressure to the Milky Way. I don't know how many people in the Justice camp died in his hands. In this battle, Speaker Palpatine grasped the weaknesses of the Jedi Knights very accurately, and it was not unfair to lose. On the contrary, the clone soldiers who died at the hands of Little Red and Little Green were unlucky. They were destroyed by a force they did not understand at all. Not only that, their souls also entered Xiaoming's underworld and reincarnated. This added a lot of merit to Xiaoming. Also unlucky were the Clone Corps outside the Jedi Temple in the capital Coruscant. They lined up in neat formations, wearing pure white tactical armor and holding laser guns. Under the leadership of the original Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker and the rebellious Sith Lord Darth Vader, they marched towards the temple with great vigor. The expected opponent was a group of Jedi Knights playing with lightsabers. As long as the firepower was strong enough, they were no match for the army. Besides, due to the Clone Wars, many masters were sent to the front line to fight. At present, there are only a few well-known masters in the temple. One is Anakin, who has already rebelled, and the other three are Master Mace Windu, Master Sast, and Master Shaak Ti. But Master Mace Windu and Master Sast were killed when they went to capture Speaker Palpatine. Only Master Shaak Ti and some other Jedi Knights with good strength were left, and Anakin was confident that he could easily deal with them. However, they never expected that what they encountered when they came to the temple was a strange natural disaster. Large areas of smoke, sand, lightning, flashes, glaciers, magma, flames, were all around the temple. It was like hell. Countless brave clone soldiers rushed in, and none of them came out. The blackened Anakin, Darth Vader, also rushed in with his strong strength. For a moment, he didn't know whether he was dead or alive. The follow-up troops no longer dared to move forward and hurriedly reported the situation to Speaker Palpatine. He was also fooled. The Jedi Knights were strong. If they couldn't destroy the Jedi Temple and let the Jedi Knights lose their command center, they would be in trouble when they were free. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1238. Where do all these smoke, sand, lightning, flash, glacier, magma, flames, that protect the Jedi Temple come from? Undoubtedly, they are the masterpieces of the dozen or so 7-star shadow clones that have eaten the devil fruit. However, this process was somewhat unexpected by Xiao Ming himself. Here's what happened. Just after Xiao Ming took office as the king of the underworld, he had 2 new source energies to use. In other words, he can strengthen a devil fruit 5 times, and the result of this strengthening will be very powerful. Before, the 6th heaven of ice and fire asked the Dragon King Europa, one sword light coldly shining on 9 provinces, to deliver something to Xiao Ming, namely 15 natural devil fruits with only about 20% completeness. This is the installment payment for the transaction between Xiao Ming and them. Xiao Ming had been dragging it on and did not use those fruits. It was just to wait for the red source energy to take shape and to be able to strengthen it 4 times. Now, not only is the red source energy available, but there is also an additional orange source energy. Of course, we have to start strengthening. However, just when Xiao Ming was about to start strengthening, he suddenly had a whim. Guided by an inexplicable intuition, he didn't know how he did it, but those devil fruits merged with the latest orange source energy tree. The source energy tree bloomed its first flower, representing that the devil fruit system was officially formed. Its function is that Xiao Ming can absorb an incomplete devil fruit and feed it to the orange source energy tree. After a few hours, you will get a complete devil fruit. And the devil fruit that comes out of the system can no longer be strengthened. There is no need to strengthen it with 100% completeness. Of course, this operation requires a lot of orange source energy. If the orange source energy tree was not more than 9 meters high at the beginning, it would not be able to afford such consumption. In other words, if the tree was not so high, this fusion would probably not have happened. Similarly, Xiao Ming would not have had this intuition on a whim. Source energy is equivalent to the origin of the universe to some extent. It is basically omnipotent. Xiao Ming's skills are too shallow now, so he often makes things, but he doesn't know why or what's going on. He succeeded in a muddle. In fact, it is far more than that simple. There is another important factor that Xiao Ming does not know, which is his recently adopted tenant, Xiru. Xiru is one of the optical computers of the alien race, just like Xiru and Lushu. After being rescued by Xiao Ming, he has been recuperating in Xiao Ming's soul and has not woken up yet. It can be said that each optical computer is a system. It is also the so-called golden finger. Strictly speaking, This type of system is the authority granted by the source energy. Because different system managers can call different authorities, the systems they tinker with are also different. People like Juwiahu who are doing well can build a huge system like the Magic Planet game. Of course, the Magic Planet game was not established by Juwiahu himself. He is just a facade. There are more complicated reasons behind it. These are later stories, so I won't spoil them for now. Lushu only has a Plants vs Zombies system. After entering Xiaoming's soul, his system was also absorbed by Xiaoming. Xiru also has a technology exchange system. But his system is attached to the Magic Planet game. It was a very shameless one. Later, when the reincarnation space helped Xiaoming fuse the source energy seeds, his system resources were used up. In the same way, although Xiru has not woken up yet, he actually brought a system. Unfortunately, because the manager is still asleep, the system is blank. It was this blank system that merged with the devil fruit and the orange source energy tree, and gave birth to a child, creating the devil fruit system. Some people may ask, this blank authority originally belongs to the yellow source energy, that is, to the soul gem. How can it not be activated with the orange source energy of the soul gem? Yes, of course it is impossible normally. But Zhang Xiaoming is an extremely special existence. He has the seeds of both sources of energy. With Xiaoming as an intermediary, or you can call it a catalyst, a megaphone, anyway, no matter what the name is, Xiaoming plays a role in connection and transformation. This blank system was grafted onto the orange source energy tree, so there was a devil fruit system. The 15 incomplete devil fruits obtained from the sixth heaven of ice and fire have now become 15 complete fruits, and have been eaten by 15-7 shadow clone. In addition to the 3 clones that ate the 73% complete smoke fruit, sand fruit, and thunder fruit before, Xiaoming has 18 clones with natural fruit abilities. Just a few seconds after arriving in the world of Star Wars 3, Xiaoming felt the huge enemy army outside the Jedi Temple. He quickly scanned it with his mental power. Well, there are thousands of fully armed clone soldiers outside. The combat power is between D and C levels. Their leader, Darth Vader, is an A and level master. Of course, Xiaoming is now S level, so he is not afraid of him. However, in a certain direction, Xiaoming also felt the existence of another S level, the Sith Lord Darth Sidious. From him, Xiaoming felt a huge threat. He is a veteran strongman in the S level and the most powerful existence among all the Sith Lords. There is a fundamental difference between him and Xiaoming, who is barely an S level guy with some shortcomings. Even Darth Vader is a threat to Xiaoming. Don't underestimate him. Xiaoming's otaku attribute broke out. Safety first. As long as he can use his clone to fight, his real body will not go on the field. Who knows what strange means they will have. He still remembers the scene of the Phoenix Force killing all Xiaoming last time. So, 18 7-star shadow clones turned into elemental forms and rushed out, replacing the outer defensive Jedi Knights. Because his hands and feet were fast, no Jedi Knight was sacrificed. Because the fight outside hadn't started yet. The reason for using the elemental form is that he didn't want to expose himself. Xiaoming was so guilty that he didn't even want to expose his clone. In the eyes of outsiders, the Jedi Temple was surrounded by a lot of smoke, sand, lightning, flashes, glaciers, magma, and flames. No one thought that this was the ability of a Jedi Knight, and almost thought that a disaster had occurred. And Sidious's group thought that this was a weapon secretly developed by the Jedi Knights. Darth Vader hated the Jedi Supreme Council even more because of this. You researched such a powerful weapon, but you didn't tell me a word. You clearly don't treat me as your own. Fortunately, I betrayed you. Out of this hatred and absolute confidence in his own strength, Darth Vader led his men, waving his lightsaber and rushing into the strange scene. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1239. Seriously speaking, the natural devil fruit is very powerful. Their ability users are not to be underestimated. Especially the three admirals in the world of One Piece, they are definitely S-level, and not just ordinary S-level. Among Xiao Ming's 18-7 shadow clone, 3 clones have eaten the same fruit as the 3 admirals. Ice fruit, sparkle fruit, magma fruit. Shouldn't the 3 of them easily beat Darth Vader, who is A and level? In fact, they didn't. First, although the natural fruit is strong, it also depends on the degree to which the ability user has developed the fruit ability, and the combat talent of the ability user. Xiao Ming's 7 shadow clone, the combat talent is the same as Xiao Ming himself, that is to say, not very good. The degree of development is even more lackluster. After all, it has only been 1 or 2 days since the fruit was eaten, so there is no time to fully develop it. It is thanks to Xiao Hong and Xiao Lu that they can play to the current A level. Because the 2 of them ate the ice fruit and magma fruit relatively early, Xiao Ming accompanied them to train for a while. Then I accumulated some experience and opened up some ideas. In addition, Xiao Ming also has 3-7 shadow clone, and ate about 3/4 of the complete smoke fruit, sand fruit, and thunder fruit. He also accumulated a lot of experience in the battle against the natural fruit ability. Adding the 2 together, Xiao Ming performed well, almost at the level of A-level. But compared with the 3 admirals of the Navy, it is still several levels behind. Second, because the natural fruit is too strong, there is a nemesis in the world of One Piece. Armament haki can compete with it. In fact, all kinds of supernatural energy are trained to the top level, and they all have the same goal. Other supernatural energies also have means to fight against natural devil fruits. In the world of the Force, masters who use the Force have an effect similar to armament haki. The natural fruit ability user can elementalize the body. But the part touched by the armament haki will be restored to its original body. The same is true when encountering a master of the Force. At the beginning, Xiao Ming didn't know this and suffered a lot. Darth Vader's lightsaber was blessed by the Force, and the natural elements that he cut, whether smoke or magma, were all turned back into the body parts of the shadow clone. The attack power of the lightsaber was extremely strong, and Xiao Ming himself was not mentally prepared. Many organs and parts were cut off. Broken limbs, arms, tendons, and brains were scattered all over the ground. Fortunately, the ones Xiao Ming sent out were the 7 stars shadow clones. Although they had entities, they were actually energy bodies. They could replenish their bodies with energy in time. Even if they were completely killed, Xiao Ming could summon them again. He had plenty of energy. However, even if he was not short of energy, he could not let Darth Vader cut at will. So all the natural elements made a big circle for him. No longer confronted him head-on. Around Darth Vader appeared 4 energy giants wearing purple armor, Susanoo. Their defense was barely enough to fight against the Jedi lightsaber blessed by the Force. Even if there was a slight damage, it could be repaired in time with sufficient energy. In the battle, Xiao Ming was only afraid of a one-hit kill, not afraid of fighting with the enemy. The 4 giants blocked the surroundings tightly, making it impossible for him to escape by speed. In the area controlled by the 4 people, there are hundreds of flying swords interspersed back and forth, launching continuous attacks on Darth Vader. At the same time, all his ways out are blocked. These flying swords are naturally the Zanpakuto released by the 7 shadow clones, Cloud 6 styles. These 4-7 shadow clones control it with sword control. To be honest, Xiao Ming, a coward, likes this safe tactic the most. No need to fight in close combat, attack the enemy from a distance, but watch from a distance and never play. He is also the most immersed in this. Hundreds of flying swords shuttled back and forth, cooperating extremely tacitly, and the entire space where Darth Vader is located was tightly blocked. The young Sith Lord could hardly attack the enemy, and the flying swords that kept coming out of thin air had already overwhelmed him. After defending against hundreds of attacks with gentle twists and turns, the dark side of the Force began to remind Darth Vader. This won't work, he will be exhausted to death. He made a quick decision and exerted force suddenly, knocking away several nearby flying swords. Despite the risk of minor injuries, he moved forward at high speed towards the junction of the two Susanos. He wanted to take advantage of his smaller size and rushed out. The best strategy is to run away. Unexpectedly, a Susanoo swung a huge Cloud 6 style combination sword in his hand. Like a fan, it fanned towards Darth Vader, not seeking to hurt the enemy, but just to block the road. Darth Vader was startled. He had already seen the big sword in Susanoo's hand. But he thought that this weapon was too big and it was difficult to hit his small and flexible self. It was not a big threat, so he didn't pay much attention to it. As a result, Susanoo used the big sword as a fly swatter. The huge sword body was like a wall, covering his head and face. It was terrible. If he was hit, he would have been in a state of panic. In that position, it would be difficult for him to resist the flying sword. Darth Vader was indeed a genius, and his reaction was extremely fast. In the critical moment, he turned suddenly and avoided the sword by a hair's breadth. However, the airflow caused by the sword also made him lose his balance and fall to the ground. Darth Vader was not worried. It was a piece of cake. Losing balance would only take 2 or 3 seconds. When the flying swords came over, he would be ready. However, ideals are full and reality is skinny. He just dodged a Susanoo's broadsword. But he failed to dodge another Susanoo's big slap. He was slapped back. The plan to escape the encirclement failed. Fortunately, being slapped by Susanoo's slap was much lighter than being slapped by Susanoo's broadsword. Darth Vader stabilized his heels when he landed, and several sneak-attacking flying swords were also swept away by his lightsaber. The battle returned to the previous situation. It was just that Darth Vader was slightly injured. When he ventured to break through just now, he had to be slapped by several flying swords and had a few bloody marks. The injury was not very serious. Even if he is still in battle, with the recovery ability of a Jedi Master, Darth Vader will be able to recover soon. But after such a back and forth, his force had been consumed by 40%. He did not dare to risk breaking out again. Just now, he took advantage of the enemy's carelessness to make a sudden attack. Now the enemy will definitely be more careful to defend themselves. If he tries to break out again, he will probably lose more than he gains. At this time, Darth Vader can only hope that the Sith Lord Darth Sidious can receive the report and come to rescue him in time. Unfortunately, he is wishful thinking. Not to mention that he is not that important to Sidious. Even if Sidious wants to save him, he is still seriously injured by Master Mace Windu. He is simply unable to save him. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1240. Some people may be surprised that all the S-level and A-level reincarnationists were killed or wounded in the first round of attacks. Xiao Ming has just reached S-level. Why is he doing better than others? If even he can survive, why did all the other reincarnationists die? This is the difference between reincarnationists and VIPs. The reincarnation space has different treatment modes. It has been explained before. The space will issue tasks and create challenges based on the individual, team, situation of the reincarnationists. So high-level reincarnationists will also be targeted by high-level means. It may be a siege by several Sith Masters, or it may be large-scale weapons such as nuclear bombs, making it difficult for S-level Masters to survive. However, VIPs are different. VIPs are equivalent to plot characters, and will not receive tasks or be specifically targeted. Basically, you can play however you like. And the reincarnation space is very thoughtful and does not put other reincarnations in the Jedi Temple. Because there are too many conditions that the Jedi Temple can take advantage of. There are nearly 100 Jedi Knights in the temple, various high-tech equipment, and many children in training. It is hard to say what tricks the reincarnations will play if they are placed here. It is easy to greatly affect the main plot. So all the reincarnations were placed on the periphery, together with other Jedi Knights who were attacked. It is good that they can save their own lives. If they are lucky, they can save the plot characters. But it has no effect on the overall situation. And arranging most of Xiao Ming's body and followers in the temple can be said to be free for Xiao Ming to play, or it can be said to be a special treatment for diamond-level VIPs. The most important part of this action by the Sith Lord Darth Sidious is to quickly flatten the Jedi Temple. On the one hand, the Jedi Knights will lose unified command. After all, some Jedi Knights survived the first wave of attacks. Once they are organized, the Sith will definitely be uncomfortable. But if they fight on their own, the Sith can eliminate these people calmly. On the other hand, it is to create a fait accompli. After all, the Jedi Knights compete with the government of the Galactic Republic, and their prestige among the people is extremely high. It is even higher than that of the government. If they cannot destroy the Jedi Temple all at once, they only need to make a call, and countless people, troops, officials, will respond. Although Sidious has been planning for a long time and has infiltrated many forces, he will never become the Emperor of the Galactic Empire. Those who can be tempted by the Sith are all evil people who pursue fame and fortune and have no bottom line. Most people can't be so bad. So the Sith are a minority. It's just that people in high positions are often such bad people. As long as there are no Jedi Knights, these bad guys will unify their opinions, and the people will have no way to resist. Therefore, in the original book, Sidious had to destroy the Jedi Temple and most of the Jedi Knights before he dared to announce the reorganization of the Galactic Republic into the Galactic Empire and take office as Emperor. If the operation to destroy the temple fails, he will basically consider running away. Otherwise, he will fall into the ocean of people's war. Inside the Jedi Temple, because Xiao Ming's 7 shadow clones bought time outside, the Jedi Knights had already reacted, and everyone gathered in 2 places at the same time. More than a dozen Jedi Knights gathered all the children together and protected them. Pay close attention to the development of the situation, and take the children away at any time if there is any sign of trouble. The remaining dozens of Jedi Knights gathered in the hall at the entrance, ready to meet the enemy. However, observing the strange scene outside the temple, these knowledgeable Jedi Knights were also stunned and couldn't understand it at all. There was a circle of smoke, magma, flames, lightning, outside, surrounding the temple tightly. Teams of clone soldiers came and rushed into the fog. Everyone waited for them to pass through these obstacles and rush into the temple to fight. Who would have thought that they would wait in vain? It seemed like an abyss in there, with thousands of clone soldiers already filled in, but none of them rushed out. Although this area is not small, it can't hold thousands of corpses. Why can't I see any of them? This is of course because Xiao Ming continued to keep his style of collecting corpses and put all the corpses into Guangmingding. Xiao Ming is very optimistic about the armor and weapons of the clone soldiers. These things cannot be wasted. They can arm their own army. And those corpses can be used as materials for death harvesting, and can also become nutrients for the insect king. It depends on the situation in the future. If Xiao Ming didn't want these armors and laser guns, he would have used death harvesting long ago. The Jedi Knights were very anxious because they couldn't see the situation in that area. They were always worried. Only Xiao Ming really understood the fighting situation inside. A Jedi Knight suddenly remembered something. He grabbed Huang Xiaoming and asked anxiously. I remember, right guard of the leader, You were the one who told me to withdraw just now. He continued to pull Huang Xiaoming with one hand, and pointed outside with the other hand and asked. You arranged all those things outside, what did you put in there? Hiss, it's not poison gas, is it? That's. He couldn't say anything more. In his opinion, smoke and flames were produced by some high-tech equipment. It was more likely to be poison gas to kill so many people. Jedi Knights are decent people. Poison gas should not be used. This is a serious violation of the Jedi Creed. He really wanted to criticize the leader's right guard. But the problem is, if these poisonous gases hadn't blocked the enemy, the consequences would have been disastrous. They knew very well that they were being killed by thousands of clone troopers. With these hundreds of Jedi Knights alone, without the leadership of the Grand Master, they would never be able to defend the temple. Therefore, the poisonous gas released by the leader's right guard did a great job. It can be said that it saved everyone's life. Therefore, it is too much to criticize others. Besides, there is still fighting outside and the river has not been crossed yet. How can we demolish the bridge in advance? After hearing what he said, everyone else also started asking questions. Likewise, no one raised a high profile and accused Xiaoming at this time. Most Jedi are not the type to burn bridges and be ungrateful. The character is reliable. At this time, Yin Xiaoming clapped his hands, attracting everyone's attention. The noisy sounds gradually weakened. Just listen to the leader say loudly. Don't worry, everyone, there is no poisonous gas outside. We dare not break our oath. They won't be able to get in for a while, so let's discuss what to do quickly. By the way, do any of you know why they suddenly ran out of these places? The army is coming to attack our Jedi temple.